Verification complete. Please proceed.
The U.S. government wants the name, address, and bank information behind your anonymous posts. And if that doesn't terrify you immediately, your brain has already adapted to surveillance culture. They want names and bank information? That's the story. Not bombs, not terrorists, not spies, posters, users on Reddit, users on X. The Department of Justice is reportedly seeking identifying information tied to anonymous speech about ICE operations. And if that does not send a chill down your spine, you have not understood where we are historically. Because anonymous political speech, it's not some fringe internet phenomenon. It is foundational to America itself. The Federalist Papers were originally anonymous, and that was in an effort to protect careers and encourage readers to conduct some form of meaningful analysis. Although I can see how today's current illiteracy rates, lack of critical thinking, and poor attitudes towards civil disagreement may have a different impact. Today, if you disagree with any idea or thought, people feel like that warrants you and your family to be homeless, begging for bread on the streets. But I digress. Revolutionary pamphlets were also anonymous. Dissent in this country was born wearing a mask. But now, anonymity itself is beginning to feel a lot like crime. And that is the shift. And it's happening inside a country that increasingly treats identification as morality. Verify your identity, verify your phone number, verify your bank account, verify your face. A society where every opinion must eventually be attached to a legal identity is not a free society. It's a monitored society. And what makes this genuinely Orwellian is not simply surveillance. It's asymmetrical visibility. The state and its masked agents, opaque bureaucracies, and invisible algorithms deciding visibility and reach becomes harder to see, while ordinary citizens become easier to track right down to their location data and payment history. The citizen is illuminated while the institution becomes more obscured, and that is a power imbalance. And the modern system barely even needs force anymore. Nobody has to kick your door down if your entire existence already lives inside of a database. Every search, every login, every IP address, every device fingerprint. The internet stopped being a public square a long time ago. It has now become an identification architecture, an enormous machine designed to connect speech to bodies. And once people realize that, something changes psychologically. Not because they get arrested yet, but because they start to censor themselves preemptively. And that is the real victory of surveillance culture. When fear no longer needs to be imposed externally because people internalize it willingly and voluntarily, when citizens start asking themselves, can this post come back on me? Will this affect my job? Am I on a list now? That, friends, is the birth of self-policing, which is far more efficient than authoritarianism, because now the citizen becomes both prisoner and guard. And that's why this matters beyond politics. Today, it's immigration. Tomorrow, it's anti-war protests or corruption leaks. Once the infrastructure exists, the justification always expands. It always expands. And history has shown that repeatedly. And as a side note, peak Orwellian is not merely surveillance. It's the fusion of surveillance, language control, psychological conditioning, and reality management into everyday life until citizens cannot meaningfully distinguish truth from institutional narrative. And what makes this situation Orwellian is anonymous dissent being unmasked. Citizens are internalizing surveillance, and the chilling effect, the state expanding visibility over speech. But true 1984 level Orwellianism would look more like speech itself becoming criminalized through those elastic definitions. Widespread social participation in enforcement, algorithmic suppression shaping perceived reality, financial or employment punishment tied to ideology, historical revision occurring in real time, people self-censoring automatically before thought fully forms. Orwell's nightmare was not the government investigates online posters. It was citizens psychologically adapting themselves to permanent observation until independent thought deteriorates. And the way many people now instinctively respond, well, if you've done nothing wrong, oh God, that is the embryo of every surveillance culture in history. The most Orwellian societies are not maintained primarily through terror. They're maintained through public acclamation, through citizens slowly accepting privacy is suspicious, anonymity is dangerous, and visibility is virtue. That is the deeper danger. But here is the thing dystopian systems never fully account for. Human beings eventually adapt. Are you listening? People start valuing privacy again. They begin distrusting centralized systems. They create parallel communities, encrypted spaces, smaller circles, and offline relationships. The more invasive systems become, the more valuable genuine human freedom becomes. And maybe that's not where we are right now, but we are heading towards the end of the internet's naive phase. That moment where people realize all this convenience was never really free. That every digital system eventually asks the same question. Who are you? And maybe the only true rebellious act left is refusing to answer immediately.
All right, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.